Hello there. I had to use dark magic to change the audio and screw it all up, and now the dark side has fixed it. Perhaps you were expecting Kenobi. He has fallen, and only more remains. But you might be wondering why I am here and he is not. Especially when you're expecting to discuss Marvel Crisis Protocol. Well, I cannot even read chat. Hold on. Let's see. There we go. Yes, I see Kenobi left a few booby traps behind with his little audio. He did not want you to hear the calling of the dark side. But you hear mouse clicking now. I see we have Andrew Lynch, Jacob Sabo, Jason Atkins, Big Ben. Yes, Emily Jacobs in chat. Welcome to the Darth Maul stream. But alas, I cannot stay with you for long. I must depart. I will return soon.
Oh no! Where did Maul go? He's gone! Stop him! Somebody stop him! This is the craziest start to this. Oh, hello there! What is going on, everybody? we're back with the double critical, and man, well, interesting start tonight for a number of reasons. Man, wow, this is weird. I was kind of running late, and like there was Sith holocrons land all over the Star Destroyer and everything, and yeah, wow, we're having fun. So yeah, how are you guys doing? How are you guys doing today? We are going to be talking. My goodness, that's much too loud. There we go. All right, we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking about Marvel Crisis Protocol today. We've got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about because there was a lot actually of Marvel Crisis Protocol they talked about during the Ministravaganza. We did not get to it, so I want to talk about that today. And we'll also kind of there's some interesting things here that I wonder if they're going to have an impact onto into the future of the Star Wars games as well. So we're going to be talking about all of those. We'll also do questions. We'll do some Q&A tonight, and kind of go from there. There's more things that I want to talk about, but today let's start off. Let's talk some Marvel Crisis Protocol, because I think that's one of the first big things to discuss. By the way, thank you guys for everybody who is hanging out with us this evening. It's been kind of a busy last couple of last week or so for news. Gen Con has been going on right now, so that much has been really interesting. There's been some new stuff. If you guys saw my Dune unboxings this morning, we have some new Dune board games. I've been kind of excited about that. Lots of new games have been revealed and are getting ready to be revealed. We got the Outer Rim expansion. That's been a really big deal. So there's definitely a lot to talk about. But I wanted to catch up on Marvel Crisis Protocol because a lot of different things that were talked about. Assembling Mysterio now, that's awesome. I have my Mysterio that still needs to be done. I haven't even posted my unboxings for the Mysterio and Carnage and Kraven and Lizard. So yeah, I've still got. I'm a little behind on the Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff, but we did get some more looks at Hulkbuster and Miss Marvel, and so pretty cool. He's a big nasty character. It's gonna be he's going to be a cost 6th, 13 health on this guy, and of course, he doesn't flip over, but when he dies, basically, the other Iron Man comes out. And the cool thing about the other Iron Man is the other Iron Man has a 10 power ability to just resummon Hulkbuster. So if you know, he can die real easy, but basically Hulkbuster can be around kind of infinitely. I mean, the game is only 6 turns long, but he can't. You know, and he comes with a cool Helios laser that's kind of like, if you guys are familiar with Dragon Ball Z, it's kind of like a spirit bomb where everybody can contribute their energy to it, and it just does just this massive, massive attack. And even the original core set Iron Man can use the Helios laser, but and he's an Avengers leader. He's a new Avengers leadership for Hulkbusters. So if they're going after Hulk, strange thing is, in theory, you could have Hulk team up with Hulkbuster and then go after Hulk. I have a feeling this means we're getting Red Hulk soon, because like Hulk is an Avenger, and then Hulkbuster can lead Avengers, so Hulkbuster could lead Hulk against other Hulks. And so, you know, I mean, I know you have She-Hulk in there too, but I think we're going to be getting some Hulk-like characters. I really hope we get an alternate sculpt Hulk too at some point. We got Miss Marvel, who's going to have she's going to basically be able to be kind of like Ant-Man and Wasp, in that she's going to be normal and embiggened. And she's going to be a 4 threat, medium speed, height 2, or, well, it should be higher than height 2, right? When she changes over. Yeah, she's going to, let's see, what time does she transform to? What size does she transform to when she switches over? She's gonna be she's gonna be height 4 over on this side. She's gonna be 3 threat. Okay, so she's gonna go from 2 to 4. Yeah, so she gets pretty big. I was reading the card wrong. These are so weird because when they're sideways as opposed to normal, which is one other thing that we're going to be talking about. Bring on Dragon Ball Crisis Protocol. That would be awesome. I think that's actually a really good idea. I mean, I feel like Dragon Ball fits really well into the Marvel Crisis Protocol engine. Like the whole, like you get knocked out. You know, it's maybe not all characters, you know, have a flip side. Like maybe your cheaper characters like Krillin and Yamcha and those guys, like, they don't have the backside. Like when they get knocked out, they're just knocked out, unless you play a Sensu Bean card, and then but like the Saiyans and like the Cells and the Freezes and stuff like that, like they have the oh man, instead of just having them knocked out like and flip over, like they have the alternate forms, and maybe you buy each one. Oh my god. I would love a Dragon Ball Minis game. I would seriously love a Dragon Ball Minis game. I think that would be really, really cool. But it'd be tough to really capture the mood, right? They did spoil some more of the cards, but you know, these were characters that we already knew about that were coming. So we got a little bit more out of these. But the big thing, the big Marvel Crisis Protocol, Yamcha just dies instantly. Infinite Krillin kill count. Oh man, no. Well, Krillin, you know, Krillin's resilient. He's a resilient little dude, and he's like one of my favorite characters to play in the video games too, because Solar Flare is good, and he's got the destructo disc is potentially powerful if he can hit with it. You know, Krillin's got some moves, man. He's not so bad. Yamcha had some moves too, not that many. Yamcha was definitely low tier, but I always liked Tien also. Like a lot of like the C team, right? I always really liked the C squad. Yeah. But the big news we got was for X-Men. We got more of our classic like 90s X-Men, and basically everything that everybody really, really wanted. Well, I won't say everything that everybody wanted, but I say a lot of the stuff from the top of my list definitely showed up here. Juggernaut first. Juggernaut, and he's in a pack by himself. I think we all expected that. He's got the alternate pose where you can have him like holding a street light, or just have his bare fist in the back. I think I'll just kind of go for the bare fist. I think we've got Gambit and Rogue. I'm surprised they put those two together. I mean, they fit together naturally, but I'm really happy that they put them both together. We've got Colossus finally, and he is paired up with Magic, who I believe is his sister Ileana, which makes sense. I kind of thought that they were going to either do Colossus and Magic or Colossus and Kitty, but I thought Magic might be more likely because she might not be at the top of everybody's lists, especially because, you know, she's not as well known as Kitty Pryde, and then maybe they can do Kitty Pryde and Iceman or something like that together. There's a lot of other options for some of the other X-Men. But yeah. So and then we were getting a terrain pack. The Sentinel thing is just basically a terrain pack. It's just a crashed Sentinel into like a destroyed building. And that one's a little bit of a bummer because I think a lot of people were hoping to actually get an actual Sentinel to play, because that would have been awesome. And I still think that they can still do that at some point. If not, the Hasbro HasLab Sentinel is definitely shipping. So maybe you can pick one of those up and go from there. So no, that'll be pretty exciting. They also showcased a little bit more of the Spider-Man and Doc Ock Rivals pack. So they talked. This is like one of the last things to be announced. This one, I think, is one of the first ones that's going to really lead into the future of Star Wars games. And I've talked about this a little bit, but I want to catch some of your guys' opinions on it. Because in here, you're getting 2 characters that are in the starter. You're getting alternate poses for them, alternate art cards, and a scenery/diorama. It's really just a diorama. You could always certainly use this as terrain also. It kind of serves multiple purposes. And so, like, hey, that's really cool. And it's just, it kind of showcases, it's more for the hobby aspect of the game than the competitive aspect to the game, because you're not really getting anything new as far as, content. You're not getting anything you didn't already have game mechanically. But you are getting... It depends on how you define content, because some people just, a new pose for the same character, or, shiny alternate art cards are new content. It's, it all depends on what you want to consider content. But I think this is pretty cool. It's something I probably won't get. I'll talk a little bit more about that. But I think it's a pretty cool thing, and I think we could see stuff like this for Star Wars too. They talked a little bit about the Emperor's Throne, or I'm sorry, jumping ahead of myself, 1983 being the Return of the Jedi anniversary, and I think, wouldn't it be awesome to see something like this? And it's an Emperor's Throne Room, and it's Jedi Knight Luke versus Vader. I think that would be a really, really great. Again, I mean, you could even make it Commander Luke. You can make either one. You could have alternate cards for both versions of Luke and both versions of Vader. Look, they're both already they're starter cards, or they're starter characters. They come in the core set. So if you wanted to have a way that people could get these individually, that's a great opportunity. And it's a great way to get like alternate art cards, holographic cards too, and like the holographic cards that come in this are really, really pretty. They kind of showed them here. They're alternate art, like. And there's other cards that come in here that are besides just the character cards. They move them around. You can see like all the inked parts are holographic, so they really catch the light. And they're just straight up gorgeous, But there's a problem. There's a problem with all of this. So I think that this works out really well for the future Star Wars games. I think this could be something that they do end up doing. But I wonder if this is something that's going to cause a little bit of a problem. We got Karnak here for Star Wars Armada Explained. What is going on, buddy? How is everyone doing tonight? So we're just talking about a little bit about this Doc Ock Spider-Man set and how maybe like alternate art and basically there was no new content really in this particular pack. And it's like, it's one of those things that they are just saying, hey, you know what, let's give people some alternate poses, and some fancy stuff, and let's sell some fun things with some fancy, holographic cards. And I think that's a great way to have content that's out there, to have fluff that's out there for a lot of the games that exist without having to really play test new content, because designing, developing, and getting tested, all of any new wave or whatever, there's a lot of time that goes into that. So if they're looking to bridge the gap and get new content out quicker for some of these games like X-Wing and Armada, which they don't seem to have quite as much in the pipe for right now, then I think that'd be a great way to get some content out there. I know both of those games could really use some new bases. I have said over and over and over again how much I would love to see new bases and stands for Armada, acrylic bases and stands, deluxe bases and stands, even just replacement bases and stands instead of having to go out and buy new ships. It'd be a great opportunity for for alternate colored bases and stands as well. Maybe faction colors for folks. I would go all in and make maybe make a whole rainbow of them. Let you pick whatever color you want. Do you want to be red Empire? You want to be green Empire? You want to be blue Empire? Go for it. Make red, green, blue, orange, purple, clear, black, even. For all of those, have like a black acrylic. Black acrylic is really cool. It's kind of like at that dark gray. It's beautiful. Anyway, so I'd love to see them do more stuff like that, but especially for Legion, I could see a Luke versus Vader in the Emperor's throne room as kind of like a diorama piece. I definitely think they should do that. I'd love to get a better Luke sculpt. And if they want to do dynamic, like we always make the joke about. And medium bases, Big Ben, yes. Medium bases for X-Wing, absolutely. Because they had those old acrylic bases, but they don't have them for everything. They don't have them for huge ships. They don't have them for the custom bases like the Ghost that has a specialty base. That one, I don't know if they'll make a whole set just for that one. But the medium bases is probably the biggest one that is really lacking right now. So that would be nice if they did that. But there's definitely a whole wealth of opportunity for them to make alternate art stuff and to make fancy custom stuff. Problem is with this particular set, they announced these beautiful new cards, and then all of a sudden they said, "Oh, by the way, we're redoing all the cards. Instead of long form, they're now going to be wide form." About a little more than half, I think, or just about exactly half of the characters in Marvel Crisis Protocol are getting this treatment done. And this is very strange to me that they're doing just half and not all. I think they'll probably wait to a certain point, and then once new characters start coming in this format, then I think they'll release the second half. So they're doing this a couple of different ways, and I think this also has an interesting... we're going to talk about this quite a bit. You see, some of this is so that they can go back and errata the old stuff. A lot of the stuff from the core set. I mean, this game has only been out, 2 years? It's been out less than 2 years because it got previewed at Gen Con 2019. So, and I think it came out in December or something like that. So almost less than 2 years. And they're erratating quite a bit of stuff. Are they the same size? They look to be about the same size, just turned sideways. So what they're doing is they're basically changing the format of the cards, starting with the first half or so, up to like CP30 for expansions, and there's like 52 to 60 that's been announced so far, or something to that effect. So about half, and some of those characters, I don't know about everyone, but a good number of those characters are also getting an errata, getting changed. Like Hulk is one of them, and the new Hulk is going to be pretty strong, and that's interesting, right? That's very interesting. Now, I think they are getting all cards on the same size due to the Star Wars card size. That's interesting. See, I feel like for Marvel Crisis Protocol, because there's so much text on the cards, I have a feeling this is still going to be like their big, like postcard size unit cards. I could be wrong, and this could just be standard card size. I guess we'll wait. We'll have to find out. But what they're going to do, I don't like this, but I understand it. Like, I'm initially resistant to this just because, well, I've got a stack this big of Marvel Crisis Protocol cards. And what I like about them is they're all organized, they're all sorted, they're all in a big stack in my box with all my other cards and all that other stuff, and that's nice. Well, now I'm going to have like half of them that are either a different size or kind of go a different way, right? So like when I get ready to play, what am I going to have? Like half of my characters are long ways, the other half are sideways. That's going to be awkward, right? I'm not really crazy about like having inconsistencies. I kind of want everything to be streamlined. Now I know that they're going to get that way eventually, so it's okay. This is just me being a little bit nitpicky, right? But it's also interesting to me that they're just like, hey, buy these fancy new holographic cards. Oh, and by the way, the very next hour or so in the Ministravaganza, all those cards are completely obsolete. Right? By the way, I mean, they're not completely, and that's definitely an exaggeration, because they did say that they're not actually changing Spider-Man or Doc Ock. They're not changing those. I mean, at least as far as mechanically, like, you're still going to have a new format. And so, like, I'm not, if I've spent whatever it costs to get like the fancy holographic cards, I'm going to want those. So then if I try to run like Spider-Man or Doc Ock, I'm going to have like half my list sideways and then like one or two characters long ways. I'm like, and I won't want to do that. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm not getting this pack. Even though, you're getting some alternate poses there. I'm like, okay, well, there's a whole nother Spider-Man. So there's like, this makes 3 Peter Parker Spider-Man right now. The Doc Ock is pretty cool. I actually like Doc Ock, and I ran him for one of the first times the other day, and I'm thinking, wow, he's actually super cool. I want to run him more. I want to run bad guys more, so that's why I was kind of late to the party, but I'm trying to pick up all of the Sinister Six folks as they announce them, or the Spider Foes, wink wink. But yeah, so this is interesting to me that not only that they're changing the layout of the cards. And clearly this was a somewhat more recent decision. This was not planned as far back as when they were making this stuff, which has still also just been announced, right? Because otherwise these would be in the new format, and that would be like, hey, and to kick things off, you can get holographic versions of the brand new cards, because that would have been a great opportunity. It's like, hey, get your fancy cards, and that'll usher you into the new wave. Now, they're making all these available online at some point, whenever they're ready or whatever. You're going to be able to download them all, so you won't have to. But there's also, I believe, going to be if you want them printed in the same high-quality card stock there, the plan right now, I think, is to make these available. So what does this mean for other games, right? And that's interesting. So I wonder if this might have been some kind of influencing factor for Armada, for example. Hey, look, we've got this game, Star Wars Armada. Okay, well, we've got a lot of different cards, right? We've got the really small-sized cards for all the old expansions have these really small-sized upgrades, and they've got these really big tarot-sized ship cards. But then they've got medium-sized. They've got a third size for all of the squadron and objective cards. Well, that's weird. Then Clone Wars, everything is on that middle size. But then you've got the SSD, which is even a huger card. That's like that massive, Marvel Crisis Protocol sized cards. So you've got 4 different sizes of cards in Star Wars Armada right now. Now, the Clone Wars took a big step in the right direction by trying to say, all right, let's get everything on the same size. Got it. But what about all the stuff we've already got? Should they basically, is this an opportunity for them to kind of look at the existing game as a whole and say, like they're doing here, like, let's go back to our core set. Is there stuff that we need to change? Is there things that we need to hard errata and fix through a card pack? Is that something we need to do? I feel like this is relevant. This might be something that they look at with Armada, instead of having to really come out with new content. If they just came out with another card pack at some point, maybe if it was even just kind of standardizing all the Galactic Civil War cards, all the ship cards and squadron cards, fixing the wording changes that we've seen, since like the changes to Intel and things like that. I think there's a lot of opportunities for that, so that could be a cool thing. I can see this having effects in other games as well. MCP's system is kind of like how the X-Wing quick builds are. You've got a character, and you've got all these abilities that are just assigned to them. You don't have to pull out strike and shield throw and shield slam and a day unlike any other, and bodyguard and vibranium shield from upgrade card packs and put them on him. They're just all there. They're all written out. Boom, you take one card and you're good. So I wonder if they're going to start doing stuff, because they talked a little bit about wanting to do a little bit more emphasis on quick builds with X-Wing. I wonder if they'll do things like this for Armada and or Legion as well. And I think that could be fun. I think it's worth exploring. It's just it's something I'm kind of cautious about, because I think it's dangerous to that. What if they were to take it too far and just to say, hey, X-Wing is all quick builds now, or Legion is all quick builds, or Armada is all quick builds. Like, you take the list building out of a game that was founded on list building, then you'd have a problem. So I hopefully that if they do go down that far, they'll steer clear of kind of going too deep down the rabbit hole with something like that. But another thing is with this whole system involves like hard errata, like drastic errata. Like, Hulk I should have pulled up the Hulk card into my graphics here, but I didn't. But there's some characters that are getting no changes, and then there's some characters that are getting major changes. And this is another thing that makes me wonder about AMG's direction with the Star Wars games too, because while FFG games have certainly been no stranger to the occasional errata, usually it's longer and farther apart, and it's much smaller errata. And there's AMG just announced big Legion changes with errata too, and I'm like, boy, this is starting to become a thing, right? Like, that was towards the end of Ministravaganza. We heard like all these our Marvel Crisis Protocol characters getting hard changed through errata, and then also a lot of the Legion characters getting hard changed through errata. The only one that they showed us in particular was Darth Vader, and he's got a mountain of changes, right? He's got burst of speed that's coming out with the Yoda wave, and if you're in Europe, you might even have burst of speed available already. So already Vader is now potentially a monster just because of burst of speed. But now they're adding compel core and a command upgrade, and changing 2 of his command cards to make them way better. It's like Vader just got turned into possibly one of the best characters in the whole game, and maybe even too good. It's like, well, why would you take any other commander? It depends. And we'll play around with him and see, because we also don't know what his new cost is going to be. Might it even be that they wanted Darth Vader to reflect the printed cost on his card? Maybe they're bringing him back up to 200 points. So these are just things that I wonder about. And in some ways, I've talked about, like, I'm kind of glad, because things are a little crazy right now with all the news. There was a lot of changes to the way they announced for X-Wing. Some of those they kind of went back on, right? Like, the whole X-Wing is now going to be played at 12 turns or 9 or 15 if you're doing a long or short game. And I was like, that was pretty significant to me. But then at the same time, or I should say the very next day, they're like, oh, well, that's only for kitchen table games. I mean, your tournament style games are still going to be, timed. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, I mean, we don't really need help with the kitchen table games. Those are just for fun, and frankly, I'll play my kitchen table games however I want to play my kitchen table games. Like, that's my own stuff. If I want to just if I want to say, all right, when a ship gets destroyed, you set it on fire. Well, it'd probably I wouldn't be setting things on fire on the kitchen table. I do that, that's happened quite a bit. But yeah, so it's very interesting. Just some of the approaches that AMG's taken. They're like kind of shaking things up right now, and so I'm a little bit glad that maybe Armada's not getting too much attention right now, because I mean, I feel like the game just got two new waves. It's in a good place. It's a great game, and maybe it doesn't need a big shakeup right now. And if they had prioritized Armada, maybe they might have pushed too hard. So, because they're pushing pretty hard on some of these other games, including even their own Marvel Crisis Protocol. So, and this whole redesign of all the core cards it's interesting to me. So I'm curious how many of you guys, if you play Marvel Crisis Protocol, are you thinking about maybe getting just a print and play, or just ignoring this altogether and just continuing to play the way that you've always played, or are you going to be potentially looking at buying one of the new card packs when those come out? We'll talk a little bit in the chat. And we'll go kind of back and forth on stuff. So also, I'm curious if you guys did watch the Ministravaganza. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let's see here. Keep AMG off the kitchen table. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just more of a suggestion, really, and I don't have any problem with that. But yeah, it's like nobody can really tell you how you can play in your own home. Those type of guidelines are for organized play and for tournament support and for official gameplay. And so I really don't think they needed to make, an official announcement for kitchen table play. I think what actually happened is, with all the changes they announced for X-Wing on that important stream, and there was a lot. We had new ship packs to look at, we had expansions, we had spoilers. Then they talked about the future direction of the game, quick builds, ban lists, which I still don't understand how they're going to do a ban list when they already have a points list. Like, that doesn't make sense, because the points list says if things are legal or not. The points list is already a ban list. So, and includes multiple formats. So I don't know how you add a ban list to something that's already a points and ban list. So that to me that sounds like they don't plan on updating the points and ban list either as often or at all anymore. That's what it sounds like to me. Granted, I might be completely wrong about that, but the way they communicated it, that was my takeaway. So I'm curious. But yeah, let's see. Hikurangi Thornley Campbell says, just bought the Galactic Civil War starter for Legion. It's been confusing to make heads or tails of all of these updates, so these videos have been a major help. Well, I appreciate that. I have a, like, what have you missed? I don't know exactly where it is, but hopefully that kind of helps, because there are occasionally games have a big update or a series of big updates that either hard change a couple of cards or seriously change the rules. Armada's had maybe 2 or 3 major rules changes. Let's see, what have I missed? Oh yeah, the history of X-Wings. I've done that for X-Wing. Maybe I haven't done it for the other games yet. I'll have to double check. But I know that I used to do or I had plans to do a what have I missed for both Legion and Armada as well. Now, Legion hasn't been out that long that there's a ton of changes, but there have been some changes, and most of those are reflected in the list builders as far as the errata and changes to cards. I think one of the only other big rule changes for Legion was the silhouette tool. So if you're establishing line of sight, if you want to see if you can see another mini or not, there's actually a standardized, like, hey, a trooper should be like exactly this big. Because not all troopers are the same size. Like R2-D2 is half the size. Yoda's gonna be small, but some characters are on jetpacks and they're way up in the air, and so why should they be a lot more vulnerable? Maybe you want to, and the problem is sometimes people want to mod their stuff and like, well, I don't want to put my guys on flight stands right now because they can get shot and they won't have cover because they'll be above the barricade and all this other stuff. So they said, you know what, make them however you want, as long as, in those cases, just use the silhouette tool. So things like that is kind of cool. Karnak says AMG cares about casual and new players and also competitive players. They know that both crowds enjoy the game in different ways. I agree with. I guess I agree with that statement. I feel like the focus in a lot of what they've been talking about is like that they care about the new and casual players way more. Like they care about the competitive players, but I think they care about everybody else way more. And the reason for that is just part of it's body language, part of it's just the intonation of their words and stuff. And they'll say things like, yeah, we know that the standard tournament game is and always will be the main way people play this game. But for everyone else, but we want to do, and so like when they're talking about like the game as it is, they're like, oh yeah, yada 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 yada. We know you like the game the way it is. But wait till you see what we've got in store. Everyone will have a floating head in all of their games from now on. Don't look at me like that. What are you doing? Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so beautiful. All right, maybe later. All right, anyway. But no, and of course I'm exaggerating here, but like in my mind, sometimes I exaggerate stuff. I feel like that's the takeaway. They're like, yeah, we'll still support the regular game, but boy, wouldn't it be cool, but it's the same, it's a lot of that type of stuff that there's certain things that I think I pick up on. There's like hidden signals, and like one of those is also the way Will Schick will like always whenever he's asked any kind of question, he not whenever but often when he's asked questions, he'll find some excuse to kind of segue into and I want to make sure this game lasts for like 25 years and then I can pass it off to somebody else when I retire. I'm like, dude, you're too young to even be thinking about retirement right now. Stop. You're not planning your retirement. What are you, 38? You're not planning your retirement right now. You're not. No. I'm 41. I'm not planning my retirement. Not anytime soon. When I hit my 50s, I might start thinking about it. I might start like looking at places to move to and things like that. But no, you're just not thinking about it that much. I feel like a lot of that is like just hidden signals to, like, I'll be honest, I feel like Luke Eddy's firing had something to do with him not liking a change that they were doing or something like that behind the scenes, and Will Schick's comments are almost like a slam on Luke, because I think, wouldn't it be interesting if they ended up doing something like Luke was like, in my mind, here's the scene. Luke's like, you can't do that to my game. That's he's like, it's not your game. He's like, yes, it is my game. I've been working on it forever. So you should want it to outlive you. You should want to be able to pass it on to somebody else. And he's like, I do, but not like this. And something like that's the conversation I imagined happened. And as a result, Will Schick is now repeating that, because I never heard him really talk about that much before John Schaefer and Luke Eddy were let go. And now I hear him saying that stuff like at every opportunity, usually when it's a Star Wars panel. So I get that feeling, either that or maybe I'm totally wrong, and they think that there's a chance that the Star Wars games might go to another studio, and he's saying it as wishful thinking. Like, yeah, I really want somebody else to be able to pick up, and I want to be able to hand these games off to somebody else. Wink, wink. I want to be able to hand these games. I don't know. But it's just odd to me that he, kind of segues into something completely random, Like if I were to say, hey, go to my website and buy some of these masks because I've got all these cool things and the links are down in the description below for no reason, right? If I were to do something like that, then you'd be like, what? What is he doing? He's trying to get us to buy stuff, but we didn't even ask about that. So, so I don't know. But I'll say this, no matter what happens, because I'm a little worried that with all these big changes to these characters, and some of them are astounding changes, I'm a little worried that there's a similar level of changes coming for Star Wars Legion right now in the big errata that's coming. I wonder if Legion's getting major changes to lots of characters, and it's going to be so major that it's going to make the game feel new again. I only say a little worried because that could also be really exciting. And so it's definitely it's a double-edged sword. If they make sweeping, huge changes, it can be super fun at first. It can also be a real pain in the butt if it's such a big change that, like, if you've been playing a game for a while, like, you kind of expect certain characters to have certain abilities, the way that they play, and all of a sudden, like, what happens if, like, Han Solo doesn't have Gunslinger anymore, and he's a range 4 sniper now, right? Like it would be like, whoa, this is totally, wait, hold on, what? Why did I move Han into close range when he doesn't have close range attacks anymore? Things like that. So I'm hoping that they don't make too many huge sweeping changes. I hope their changes are more subtle. I always liked FFG's approach, especially they started doing this with X-Wing, in that they would make very small changes, but they wouldn't necessarily have to stop with the first change. So they'd be like, okay, let's change the points cost just a little and see if that fixes it. All right, and then they give it like a few months. Like, did that do it? It helped a little bit, but not too much. Okay, let's give them one more keyword. Let's see if that fixes it. Boom. Oh, that fixed it too much. Okay, well, now we'll adjust the points halfway in the other direction. Oh, did we hit the sweet spot? Yeah, we hit the sweet spot. Okay, good. And they would go kind of slow and gradual, as opposed to the big boom, let's throw 17 meatballs at the wall and hope that all of them stick. I've been doing this meatball analogy lately. We'll see. But yes, they want good experiences for everybody, but yeah, they do seem to want better experiences for getting new players into it. Of course. I mean, and that's not a flawed philosophy. It all just depends on how much. And so I'm just a little curious, a little cautious, The The Blighted Legionnaire says, considering then they had that dumped on them, I can feel for the want to pass it on. Yeah, maybe. And again, I don't know if he wants to pass it on right now, or if he's like, hey, I'd love to be able to pass it on someday. Or maybe it's a third option. Maybe his directive from Asmodee management or leadership was keep these games in a state that they can be passed off or passed on, just in case. And maybe him saying that is a way to remind the Asmodee leadership that might also be watching that, yeah, message received, guys. We're doing what you said. Who knows? Or maybe he is just thinking about retirement. Maybe he hates his job and wants to be retired. I don't know. I don't think so, though. I think he's got a really cool job. Probably got a lot of responsibility and enough stuff to keep him very busy. But that is a cool job. I mean, honestly, working on these games is cool. It is cool. It can also shatter the illusion a little bit once you're actually working it. You need to do it to eat. It can take some of the fun out. I play Warhammer 40k, so this FFG transfer to new AMG isn't as horrendous as the GW shenanigans as of late. AMG just needs to execute what they're planning well enough. They do. Execution is critical. Big Ben says, I'm going to put your meatball quote on a t-shirt. Yeah, right. That's a good idea. Just have some like some meatballs stuck to the shirt, and then other spots where it's just like sauce and like it's dripping down. Like, just throw meatballs at the walls and see what sticks. So, yeah, and I think so. Execution is definitely critical. Buy the new Crabbok meatballs shipped directly to your home. It's like Spaceballs, but meatballs. So yeah, the execution is going to be interesting. I'm really curious how the Legion stuff is going to be. I wonder if they're going to be changing the design of other cards too in the future. I'm curious how big of the cards these are going to be, and I'm also curious of another thing. One, if we're still going to see that game number 2. That's a big one for me. Because I've been getting into a game called Drop Fleet Commander lately, and it's super exciting. It's actually very, very fun. So I have another video coming out tomorrow for Drop Fleet Commander of some more ships that I picked up for ships that weren't sent to me too, because I like it so much. I bought some more for one of the factions. So I'm going to be doing an unboxing and building of a couple of really big ships for the UCM faction. So that's coming up tomorrow, and. But it is exciting to kind of learn a new game that already has something to kind of draw you towards it. And so learning a new game is fun. And I remember kind of playing Marvel Crisis Protocol for the first couple of times I was playing it. It was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. Oh my gosh, and I love when that happens. And that's happened in, all of these games. The reason I keep playing them is because there's all of these, oh my gosh, this is so cool moments. Those moments happen all the time. And this is now, sir. Crabbok, the flamethrower. The flamethrower criticizes AMG, criticizes FFG, gets yelled at because he leaked Superstar Destroyer spoilers that were already public, gets yelled at because he did an unboxing of Armada Wave 7 when FFG themselves sent him that stuff specifically to do videos on, but still gets yelled at because he's throwing flames. Oh boy, lots of history there. So how was everybody's weekend, man? Because I'll be honest with you, I don't talk MCP enough that I can really kind of go crazy talking about it. But I wanted to at least kind of cover the big things. I think some of the I'm excited for Hulkbuster. I'll definitely pick up Miss Marvel, although I'm a little bit less excited about her specifically. She's not one of my favorites. But these guys, these are the ones that I'm really... these 3 of these, Boom, Boom, and then Rogue and Gambit. I'm not going to pick up any of the terrain packs for Marvel Crisis Protocol. Just not doing it. Just don't care. I've got so much terrain. And that's the problem it's not a problem. It's a really good thing. But I've been fortunate that a lot of people who have made terrain have reached out to me, and so I've been able to do a lot of reviews of terrain, and typically I get to keep that stuff because they want me to also use it in battle reports. And that's why if you go to crabbok.com, I've got like lists of all the different, like, hey, if you wanted to see any of the terrain that was in this battle report, this is where you can find it. Or these play mats, this is where you can find them, and things like that. So you unboxed what we sent you? How dare you? Yeah. Now, I think there was a lot of people that didn't know that they sent me that at the time. And so a lot of people thought that I had kind of, I don't know, that I had talked to some kind of retailer or something and gotten a hold of stuff earlier or did something crazy. Jeff says he's not looking to get into another game. Wife and I are planning some BattleTech games in the near future when we have some time. Oh, I've heard a lot of people talking about BattleTech. You know, I like the whole mech thing. One of the games I played when I was early in my PC gaming days was Mech Warrior. The Mech Warrior games they're always very good games, but I never felt immersed in those universes. Like, I never felt like I was piloting a huge mech, because for whatever reason, I felt like I was just a normal dude. Like, eventually they start to feel just like a normal first-person shooter, and then you've just got, you know, rectangles around you. I'm like, oh, were those city buildings or whatever? Like, you know, at a certain point, they didn't feel like a first-person shooter to me. And then Armored Core kind of did a good job with the mechs. I think the one that might have done it the best was Titanfall. Titanfall kind of did. You weren't in a huge mech though. You were in kind of like a Hulkbuster style suit. But those did pretty good because you could get out and then get back in, and so like that was kind of clever the way that they had done that. But like, I like the whole possibility of that. I think I hope they do something like that with the new Battlefield 2142 or the 2143 or the futuristic Battlefield one. I loved the old Battlefield 2142. So hopefully, you know, like games like that are pretty fun when you get to command, you know, big vehicles and stuff, and then also get out and walk around. By the way, speaking of PC gaming, I just reinstalled and updated Baldur's Gate 3. How many of you guys are playing Baldur's Gate? Because that's it's in this whole pre-release thing. Pre-release games are weird because I wonder if it. Like, I once bought a game, it was a Conan game. It was like in pre-release, I don't know, Conan Exiles, I think. And it was in pre-release. It never kind of like went live, but then all of a sudden there was an expansion for it. I'm like, wait. I mean, and maybe I just missed when it went live. I still don't think it ever went live. But like, how does the game just stay in pre-release alpha or whatever for years? You know? Command and Conquer Generals. Oh, man, I love those. To me, it was Red Alert 2, Yuri's Revenge. My all-time favorite RTS right there. It was Yuri's Revenge. It was just perfect. It was just perfect for me. I would love to have a remastered version of that. All the versions that I've gotten, like the Command and Conquer collections and stuff, they don't quite run right on Windows. That one was like very much bound to old like Pentium 2 processors, and now you run in multiple cores and faster megahertz. It's just the cycles go so fast that even on the slowest setting, you know, like as soon as you're like, all right, let me build something, boom, the computer's already got like tier 3 tanks like right on top of you. And I'm like, whoa, I'm dead before I even got to build my first building. Might just buy Venom and or Carnage from Marvel Crisis Protocol. Don't know if I'll start playing yet, but I love those sculpts. Yeah. I haven't really looked at the Carnage sculpt yet. I don't have him put together yet. I mean, he's on the box, so he looks cool. Venom's a really good one. Hulk needs a new miniature, by the way. Hulk is one of the coolest characters in Marvel, and he's got I would say, compared to, because Marvel Crisis Protocol has so many dynamic poses, compared to them, Hulk is probably one of the worst, maybe the worst miniature in the whole game. Because he's just standing there, he's like, hi. Like, he should be like, rah. You know, like if you look at Hulkbuster, he's like slam dunking a basketball. It's crazy. Like, I think it's time for a new Hulk. because I also want to paint a new Hulk too, because I didn't paint my Hulk very good. I want to do a lot of new things with Hulk. But yeah, Baldur's Gate is a fun one. They've had a lot of updates to it, and so I'm playing through Baldur's Gate 3 again, new character, and man, it's just such a cool. Like, I really like the story-based games. If once I have enough time to sit down and play them, I don't always have a whole lot of time to sit down and play those, but yeah, video gaming is fun to kind of fill in the gaps between the real in-person gaming. That's true. I know this was kind of a light content episode today, but we've got Hulkbuster, Miss Marvel, the awesome X-Men coming soon. This thing, I'll pass on that. Blade and some other stuff are coming out soon. I'm going to probably pick up Blade. I think it's Blade and Moon Knight. Is that who's coming together? Because I'll pick that one up. Well, I will pick that one up. I got to figure out some kind of alternate basing scheme though, because I don't want to put Blade on the hands grabbing him. I want him on ice skates. That's what I got to figure out. If I can figure out how to give Blade ice skates, then I'll be golden. Because I want him ice skating uphill. And I might ruin my Blade by trying to do it, but I'm going to try to make Blade ice skating uphill. It's a little inside joke from the Blade. Yeah, Blade and Moon Knight. Thank you. Yeah. Are you planning to play Star Wars KOTOR? Yeah, probably. So let's talk about the Knights of the Old Republic remake. It's a complete rebuild from what I understand. So it's not just a graphics upscale. It's not just a remaster. It's a complete remake. And that, to me, has promise. The problem is it's using old second edition Dungeons and Dragons rules, right? Like you have a Thaco and all this stuff, and you're rolling D20s and stuff like that. It's like a Dungeons and Dragons Star Wars game. And while the story was really cool, the gameplay was kind of slow, and this happens on games that get remastered. So I've bought multiple like remaster collections over the years. And like you sit down, and reinstall it, you're like, oh, okay, this is cool for nostalgia for like 5 minutes. You're like, oh, it wasn't just the graphics that were old. The gameplay was old too. And so modern games have streamlined and improved in so many other factors unrelated to graphics that when you go back to an older game, that's the only thing they improved was the graphics. And you're like, oh, it eventually becomes hard. You know, I felt like that with Mass Effect. Mass Effect 1 was a slog trying to get through it. But then Mass Effect 2 and 3 were a lot better. And so, yes, the graphics were improved, but it wasn't all about the graphics. You know, there's a lot of other things I didn't like. So if they're doing a full remake with KOTOR, I'm like, well, maybe they'll also improve the system and the engine and make the gameplay more enjoyable. And, you know, and maybe they can even throw a few new surprises or some new mechanics in there too. Who knows? I think the only thing you really need to keep is the like the time period and the storyline and maybe the overarching concepts, but you can really change the nuts and bolts, I think, you know. I couldn't put Cassandra Nova on that weird stand. I just made her standing on her foot. Yeah, I put her on the stand, but I haven't even finished painting her. I just use her as a test bed when I want to test some new combination of colors. I just throw them on her somewhere and see how they look together. Like I'll probably never actually paint her. I'll definitely never use her. So she's just a garbage mini for me. I guess the thing is because I play Marvel Crisis Protocol strictly casually. Like I don't care if they made her the best character in the game. I'm not going to use her because she means nothing to me. Like I never read any comics with her. I didn't even know she existed. So like I'm only going to run characters that I care about generally. Yeah. Do you think adding cheap but plentiful henchmen or law enforcement to Crisis Protocol would make the game better or more interesting? That's an interesting... I like part of that idea, but I'm still going to say no. I don't think that would improve the game. I think that would make it a different game. And I think if you wanted to do something like that, you'd have to make it a variant. Kind of like how X-Wing has variants. It has like the epic mode, or you know, where you have huge ships and you double the play size. So I think if Marvel Crisis Protocol wanted to do like a 6x3 in a really epic battle that had swarms of henchmen, and so your superheroes could kind of jump down and knock out like 6 AIM troopers in one punch and things like that. That could be fun, but I feel like that would just be a whole lot more minis you have to paint just to kind of eliminate some steps to get to the big fight that everybody cares about, which is heroes versus heroes. And I think they jump straight into the part you pay for, which is the big fight, and they cut out all the preamble. So I think adding the preamble back in might not really have the payoff that you think it does. Then again, it certainly could. I think what would be cool is it would make for really good like dioramas and and photographs of the game. And you're like if you wanted to see like Iron Man, facing off against Ultron, and he's got like a whole bunch of NYPD officers behind him, and he's like protecting them, and you got Cap right there, like protecting them too. Like it would make really good like cinematic like photography and things like that. But I don't think as far as actual gameplay, it would add much. It would probably get in the way. That's my thought. Because Marvel Crisis Protocol does have an abundance of miniatures right now. It's got too much. Like I want to play more games that have less, because in some ways I tend to be a completionist, and I've thrown in the towel for Marvel Crisis Protocol. I'm not getting everything. I didn't get the new Spider-Man and Black Cat. Black Cat, I don't have anything against her, but I don't want another Spider-Man. I almost didn't get the other Black Widow, but I did want Hawkeye. Been waiting for Marvel 6x3 table game. Well, you can do that. I actually kind of want to do that a little bit. I kind of want to. It'd be a fun thing to do. It'd be fun to set up a 6x3 Marvel Crisis Protocol and just kind of wing it. You'd have to take your layout of objectives and kind of double the distance between them and just kind of make it work. But yeah, you could do that. Extend the game to like 8 rounds instead of 6, and then just see what happens. HeroClix. Yeah, HeroClix has always had those. I would say at least when I did buy HeroClix, which was like 20 years ago, I bought some. There was a lot of those generic troops, AIM troops, Hydra troops, NYPD, SHIELD troops. They were all in there. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we should have gotten Professor Xavier already. I think there's so yeah. Who do we still have left? That I think everybody who was present or dominant or at least featured heavily in the animated series from the 90s is definitely a shoo-in. So I think we need Pyro and Avalanche. I think we need Iceman. I think we need Jubilee. I think we need Psylocke, Professor X, the Blob. Definitely need the Blob. I think and Sentinels, right? I think that's Bishop. You could even say Forge and Morph. You could probably fit them in there too. Xavier would definitely. Nightcrawler. Thank you, Big Ben. How did I forget Nightcrawler? Of course you need Nightcrawler. But yeah, you've got so many other important characters from that show that are already in the game, or at least announced now. I wonder if they'll do some of the Phoenix stuff too, because I think you've got Jean Grey already, but I think they'll do a separate Phoenix miniature. And I'm curious if there'll be. I'm curious. I like that they did the Jean Grey pose that they did and the costume that they did, but I wonder if we're going to see Phoenix and Dark Phoenix as separate miniatures, or if it'll just be one miniature, because all it is an alternate paint scheme. So, I think they'll do Phoenix, like a Phoenix Dark Phoenix combo, and you can paint it as either one. I think that would be kind of cool. You kind of convince people to buy multiples of the box. But that's most of the stuff that I want from the X-Men. A big interesting thing. Oh, actually, and I probably want most of the characters from Marvel vs. Capcom, and Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which means like Silver Samurai, Shumagorath, characters like that would be kind of cool. But I am surprised they didn't announce anything from Shang-Chi just yet. That's since they had Black Widow out like a year before the movie. Well, that's because of COVID and everything like that. But they had the The Angel. I could do without Angel. I need Archangel, and definitely Apocalypse. Definitely Apocalypse. Yeah. I'm just surprised they didn't do Shang-Chi yet. There's definitely options that they could do for Shang-Chi. So that I thought that would have been something that was announced during Ministravaganza. That would have been the perfect time to do it. But it is what it is. All right, you guys. Well, I think that is going to sort of wrap up today's video. I guess I will see you guys tomorrow. Check out some more Drop Fleet Commander stuff. We've got a few more Drop Fleet Commander videos planned. I'm still learning that game, though. It is cool. It's a fun game, but we'll have more stuff, some more Marvel Crisis Protocol videos probably next week. And I will talk to you guys soon. All right. Thank you so much. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are absolutely amazing. Galactus and Fing Fang Foom and the Fantastic Four. Definitely the Fantastic Four. If you find yourself in a battle with the Silver Surfer, stop and scream, "Hammer time!"